The next question has to do with balancing the budget. We all know that the Wisconsin Constitution demands that the budget be balanced every year. And so we'd like to know what your plan is. What programs do you want to see funded at levels that you think are sufficient, and what programs do you think could stand some cuts?
Thank you. In April of 2011, after I came back from Illinois, I spent a lot of time with the governor's budget, and I kept thinking to myself, there's a better way to balance this budget and save dollars. So I sat down in my computer with my spreadsheet, and I started to axe programs, and I started to add money to other programs. And then in June, when the Joint Finance Committee did their work, I looked at what they changed, and I updated all my numbers based on what they changed. And I put together what I call my alternative budget. And the point of the whole exercise was to show that the choices the governor made were not because he felt like he had to balance the budget, but were because he had decided to make political choices that I believe were not in the best interest of the people of the state. And I'll briefly give you a little bit of the details of what my balanced budget did, but for more of the details, please go to my website, which is kathleenvinehout.org. It's a really great website, and all the details are there, including the list and the page numbers of all the programs I would cut. What would I do? First of all, I would make sure that local government was level funded, so that we could have the kinds of buildings like this. We could have the public structure that we need, that is the fertile soil for those businesses to grow, those plants to grow. Second of all, I would make sure that as much as I could, I would put the money back into K-12 education. I would fully fund tech colleges. I would fully fund the programs that the governor cut that I find are critical to K-12 education. For example, did you know that the governor cut school breakfasts and school milk? Milk, for Christ's sake, milk for children. Yes, I would fully fund that. I would fully fund the veterans programs that were cut, the housing, homeless veterans programs, the needy loan program for veterans. These are basic services that needed to be funded. I would fully fund family care, which was, interestingly enough, finally looks like it's going to be done because the federal government told the Walker administration you have to do it. And I would make sure that we didn't spend money that we cannot afford on privatizing public education. I don't believe now is the time for tax breaks for very wealthy corporations, and a lot of that money I put back into education. I don't believe that now is the time to dramatically expand on unaccountable, what I call the black box that used to be the Department of Commerce. Remember what happened to the Department of Commerce? It became a private corporation, and all of that money that we worked so hard to make accountable and transparent went into this black box, and we turned off the light and put a sign on the door that said to all of Governor Walker's friends and enemies, trust me, I'm going to give this to somebody who really needs it, but there's no clear accountability for people to look in and find out what happened to all that economic development money. I think that was a mistake. I tried to audit that program. I was somewhat successful, but we still have problems there. And I would make sure that we didn't raid funds. One of the things the governor talks about is that I didn't raid funds like my predecessor does. There are 12 separate fund raids in this budget. The governor not only raided funds, he raided then his own funds. Yes, believe it or not, recycling money, renewable energy, all of that money was taken and moved into the new Wisconsin Economic Development Corporation, the black box that used to be the Department of Commerce. That was a mistake. And I would make sure that we had good systems of accountability in those areas for like charter and voucher schools, which I know would get to education a little bit more. So there's a lot more detail